Self-Esteem Parenting 6. How to Motivate Children. One of the key issues today in parenting is the term whatever. Children are not motivated. They're not inspired. They're apathetic. They're plugged into their internet. They're plugged into their tablet, to their phone, and they're being recipients, couch potatoes, as people used to be watching television. And therefore, perhaps that's not such a unique idea. We've learned from television to be passive, going to movies to be passive, and we've lost the art of being proactive, of going outside. When I was young growing up, we would play on our bikes outside from 8 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock at night, had to be dragged in. Come in for supper? No, 5 more minutes, Mom. Playing baseball outside, gardening, playing soccer, baseball, hiking with our friends, hanging out outside, playing outside. But somehow in our generation, children are not playing outside anymore. We do ride our bikes, it's true, but generally speaking, kids are more plugged in to passivity, more plugged into internet, and that lends itself to being passive instead of being proactive. So how do we motivate the children? It's our obligation as parents, mechanchim, educators, social workers, psychologists, to be able to put our heads together and understand what are the strengths of a child. What are his interests? And in the Wheel of Strengths that I've been advocating, the Wheel of Strengths is brought down in my podcast called Believe in Yourself, where we draw a circle and we understand what are the intellectual strengths, social skills strengths, the personality or character strengths, spiritual strengths, family background, contribution strengths, and growth strengths of each child, each person. And when we analyze that statement and we brainstorm with teachers, with the child himself, with friends, and say, what do you like? What interests you? What inspires you? And we try to craft a creative idea as to how a child can be inspired to leave the internet, to leave passivity, and to become proactive. So some children have an inclination to use their hands. So we try to guide them toward model making, or crafts, or woodworking, doing something with their hands, or sports, baseball, football, organized sports, organized soccer, or ideas like helping other people, or creating a business, or flower making, or basket making, or scrapbooking, trying to find something that the child is interested in. Teach them karate, or jiu-jitsu, or kickboxing, or self-defense, or jazz, or dance, or yoga. We have to put our heads together and become creative. And even if a child has no interest and they say, whatever, we have to create that interest to be able to create that motivation within themselves. If they don't have it, we must create, implant within them the idea of what something is that is interest to them, something which is motivating them, something which is their claim to fame, that they say, I like this, I am good at this, it gives me a connection to this world. I want to get up in the morning and play my piano, play my keyboard, play my violin, play my cello, play my flute. I can be involved in something which gives me a sense of inspiration. So if a child is not motivated and they're saying in their lives, whatever, we have to instill, engineer, create that motivation within themselves. And it's our obligation to brainstorm, to speak to teachers, to speak to social workers, to speak to advisors and say, what can motivate this child? The source of this idea is in this week's Parsha of Toldos. As we go through the Parsha in our series called Self-Esteem Parenting, every single week we have an idea from the Parsha, from the Alter of Slobodka, or from my Rebbe, Rav Moshe Shapira, on how to motivate children. And the idea here in chapter 26, Pasuk 28, in Parshas Toldos and Breshis, says, Vayehav Yitzchak es Esav ki tzayid befiv, verivka oheves es Yaakov. And Isaac loved Esau, ki tzayid befiv, because he provided venison in his mouth. He gave him food. Verivka oheves es Yaakov. And Rivka loved Yaakov. My Rabbi Rav Moshe Shapira Zatzal says the following. Of course, Yaakov was loved by both parents. And of course, Esav was loved by both parents. This is not favoritism. This is not nepotism. This is not the idea that favoritism, that we should not favor one child over the other. Chas v'shalom. They loved each other. But what they were trying to do was to develop the uniqueness of each child. Rivka saw the uniqueness of the scholarship, the learning, the depth, the spirituality of Yaakov, and therefore developed that spirituality. Yitzchak saw the hunter nature of Esau, and therefore wanted to nurture, develop, bring out that nature of being a hunter in order to be of service as a partner with Yaakov. He wanted to cause Esau to use his creative abilities, his physical abilities, his tzayid befiv, his physical hunter abilities, and use them in service of Torah. Of course, unfortunately, Esau did not follow that. He used those physical abilities for his own sake. But the intention of Yitzchak was, kitzayid befiv, use the physical, use your hunter physical abilities, and use them in service of a higher power. That was the intention. That's why Yitzchak loved Esav, kitzayid befiv. He was physical. He was using his physical prowess, and he tried to nurture, develop, and mold that physical prowess. So therefore, imagine if Esav would have been able to use his energy as a hunter, as a man of the field, as a man of war, and channel that to leadership in the community, leadership in building communities, building families, building cities. That would have been a different story, to provide the physical needs of Yaakov as a Yaakov-Esav relationship. And that Yaakov-Esav relationship did not take place. That was Yitzchak's goal.